Welcome back. By now, you have a plan in place for your new business, and you probably have launched your new business, and you probably have a couple of customers already. Everything we've done up until now should have given you enough information to actually get started. However, it's important that you understand some of the risk and legal areas of the web hosting business. Now, this is not a legal advice video, but it's just to give you a perspective of some things that you need to have in mind as you start your web hosting business so that you can better protect yourself and better protect your business. So let's talk about the risk of the web hosting business a little bit. It's now your responsibility to take it up from there and to expand on this. So let's talk about the risk. Now, one of the risks of the web hosting business is competition. Now, the web hosting industry is such that there is high and intense competition. And if you took your time to look at the video on the market and marketing strategy, it now gives you a perspective that you as a business need to come up with creative ideas to make sure that you have a business that is running in such a competitive way that you can stay afloat and still be able to make profits and be able to put out pricing there that your customers will be willing to pay for on a month-to-month basis. So it's very important. Now, if you are not careful about positioning your business correctly in the web hosting business, it's not uncommon for you to just discover that you just start losing customers. And that is why it is also important that as a web hosting business, you should also have other added services that you can offer as your business grows and expands. For instance, you can have a side business where you design websites for people and you charge them a fee. You can have a side business where you engage in website development or mobile app development, and then that helps you to stay afloat when things get heated up. But then you have to be aware that one of the major risks is competition. Another risk in the web hosting industry is security issues and security breaches. And it is very important for you to understand that as a web host, you are responsible for the data of your clients. Now, when I say you are responsible for the data of your clients, most of the things you need to take care of in terms of security and in terms of data safety is already being done by your provider. And that's one of the good things about reseller web hosting. It's not like you're having a data center yourself. You are also renting space and then you are reselling the space. So the upstream provider should have taken care of most of those issues for you, like having security presence at the data center, having multiple layers of security, having security at the network level, and things like that. However, it is also very, very important that you as a reseller web host should also put in place adequate security at your own level. Here is why. Let's assume you get a VPS server and then you have all the email, all the passwords and IP addresses to all your VPS servers stored in an email account, which is what some people would do. Or you have a couple of VPSs. Let's assume you have like 10 VPSs. Each one of those VPSs has maybe like 25 customers each. So you have a total of about 250 customers and their websites on your server. And then you have all the usernames and all the IP addresses and all the passwords. You have it stored maybe on a file on your PC. And it's just sitting there. Now, look at a scenario where you now have your email address is hacked and all those information is there. It means that Anyone who has access to that information has access to 250 other people and their websites and probably their own clients also. So it's a very serious issue. And that is why, as a web host, you want to be careful. In fact, if it is possible, you want to assign a dedicated PC that you use to access all these services and all these sites with dedicated passwords. You want to have strong passwords, and you want to make sure that the PC you are using is a PC that is not infected with many malware or viruses or spyware or anything like that. And then you want to make sure that you probably don't even do anything other than to just work on your web hosting business from that PC. Now, why am I saying this? What you're trying to do is that you're trying to have security at your level. Now, your clients are also responsible for security at their level. So the same thing, a client can get breached. Okay, but when the client gets breached, it's one client out of 250. When you get breached, it's 250 clients and their own clients and their own data getting breached. And that can really be an issue. So you as a web host need to be responsible. And that goes very far in terms of security, because that's very important. Another risk for a web hosting business is the risk of downtimes. Now, things happen. There are times that despite your best efforts, things just happen. Probably there are acts of God, fire disasters, flood, hurricanes, and things like that. And it affects the data center where you are hosted. What happens at that point? The data center goes down, your servers goes down, your services goes down. There's nothing you can do about it. And that's why you want to make sure that you have a provider that has the ability to withstand those kind of things, and they have measures in place to handle a lot of those kind of things. So downtime, it's also important. When your services go down too much, you lose clients. So you want to have a service that is stable and is always online so that your clients are happy. Then scalability. Now, if you have gone through all these videos, we talked about automation and things like that. Now, the reason why I kept hammering on all those automation, one of the major reasons is so that you can have a business that scales. Now, if you don't structure your business well from the start, you'll find out that when you start having customers and you start growing, it may be a bit of an issue being able to expand your business beyond a certain point. But if you have done things right from the ground floor up, you'll find out that when it comes to time to scale your business, things are easier for you to do. Then you have pricing pressures, because you have a competitor that is charging less, and then you also want to charge less. Well, you have to have on the back of your mind that when such things begin to happen, you should remember that no provider wins a pricing war. Only the consumer does. So when providers start fighting amongst themselves, and then they start lowering prices and start doing promos and start doing bonanzas, at the end of the day, it's the consumer that wins. So you have to be careful about all those kind of things so that you don't put yourself into unnecessary pricing pressures, because those are some of the risks that is available in the web hosting industry. Then there is also a rapid change in technology. Now, this is a major one. You can wake up tomorrow and they will tell you that the operating system you are using is no longer being supported, and you have to find a way to upgrade to another operating system. As I'm talking to you now, I have servers that are running a particular operating system, and as I'm talking to you now, I have clients on those servers. Those servers now need to be upgraded to the next version of the software, and it's a bit of a headache about doing that, because it means that my client needs to be shut down for probably a few hours while we try to upgrade and migrate their data and do all those things and then restore them and put them back online. And clients don't want to hear this, but then that's the web hosting industry for you. A lot of the time, you just find out that technology affects you and you just have to cope with it. That's one, and that's another risk of the web hosting industry. Now, there are so many things like that which you would come across and then you have to deal with as you go along. But then every business has its risk, every business has its pros and cons. But when you weigh all of these and you compare with starting other businesses, running other businesses, the speed at which you can be profitable in the web hosting business, how much monthly recurring revenue you can start accruing in as little as 90 days in the web hosting business, you will find out that when you balance it out, it's still a very good venture to do when we talk about web hosting. So let's talk a little bit about legal issues so that you are aware of these as well. So there are a lot of legal issues when it comes to web hosting. You have data protection laws. Depending on the country where you're operating from, there are laws that talks about data protection, what the web hosting or what the web hosting provider should do in terms of security at their own end to protect their customers. So a lot of the time, your upstream provider takes care of these already. But sometimes you need to also pay attention to some laws that may be prevalent in your local environment. We have cybersecurity laws, for instance, laws that govern how much of security you should have, how you should have those securities, what you should be setting up and all of that. But then your provider would take care of most of all those things. But then you also need to check what they have and then look at it and study, their terms of agreement and things like that, so that you know how you can also prepare your own terms of agreement, so that as your customers sign up, they, sign up and then they agree to all those terms as they sign up. Then we have the problem of intellectual property. From time to time, you would get some clients, using pictures or videos on their websites that will be protected by intellectual rights. And then you'd have those people contact you as a web host to take down the sites or take down the content or any of that. And then you have to deal with all those things so that you don't put legal issues on yourself. So when such issues arise and then you get contacted as the hosting provider about, you need to inform your customer and tell them, oh, look, you are using this, you need to put it down so that you don't have any legal issues and things like that. So you have to be aware of all of that. Then we have contract obligations. Now, when we talk about contract obligations, we are talking about, okay, when you signed up for the service, what contract did you agree to? But a lot of the times we fail to study and read all these contracts, and then when issues come up, we start feeling bad because we did not read. Now, you need to read what contracts the provider is giving to you. And then when you are also dealing with your customers, you need to ask yourself, what contracts are you giving to your customers? For instance, what happens when a customer does not pay? That's a contract agreement that the customer should be aware of. If a customer fails to pay you and there is a delay in payment for 5 days, what happens? Do you turn off the customer's website? If you turn off the customer's website and the customer refuses to pay maybe after 30 days, after that, what do? Do you delete the customer's data? Is the customer aware that you will delete his or her data? Now, if the customer is not aware that you are going to delete the data, of course, it makes sense for you to delete data because that disk space is not making you money and you pay bills on a month-to-month basis. So it makes a lot of sense to just delete the data, wipe it off, and then get someone else and give the person that space. But then, if the customer is not aware that you are going to delete the data, some customers believe, oh, my web host, anytime I come back, they would recover that data for me. They should have it kept somewhere. That's what some people believe. So if somebody is now coming back after 4 months to tell you, oh, I had some very sensitive information with you and I stopped paying, but now I'm ready to pay everything so I can recover my emails, I can recover my files because I have some sensitive information. And then you've wiped the information and the client is now claiming that you did not tell him or her that you are not going to be storing the information. Then it becomes a legal issue. And you want to be careful about it. So you need to have your contracts and you spell it out. Okay, if you don't pay, then we'll shut you down. And then if you still don't pay, then we'll delete your account. And when we delete your account, that delete is going to be permanent because we don't keep customers data. So you have to let your customers. And these are legal issues. Then you have issues that can also arise from customers coming to do something malicious on your servers. And this you have to be careful as well. Now, a customer comes to you, a customer purchases a web hosting space on your server, and then unknown to you, the customer builds a fake banking site on your server. Now, you don't know that customer, you did not do proper KYC, which is know your customer. Now, at that point, if issues arise, those files are on your server. Now, if you did not do proper KYC, then it becomes your problem. It becomes you become liable because then you cannot provide information about the customer who did that. So it's important that you have some level of KYC available for your servers. And KYC these days is now easier than it used to be, especially in Nigeria. Now we have BVN, we have NIN, we have driver's license, and then we have services online that can help you validate all these data. So you want to know who is hosting with you. You want to know if the person has an identity. You want to be sure that the person can be traced so that when issues arise, you can call up those records and you can use those records to defend yourself. Oh, I'm a service provider. This person has bought services and this is the identity of the person, and then I'm not held liable for. So you have to be ready for all those things. And then as well, you should do spot checks on those services that you are hosting. So if you have hosted people from time to time, you want to check their websites to be sure, okay, they are not doing anything malicious. You just want to check from time to time. And then when you get notices from your upstream provider that you should check something, you want to make sure you check those things immediately. Because sometimes even the provider, sometimes even the customer you have given service to may not even know something is going on their sites. We've seen situations where a customer got hacked, something illegitimate was happening on their sites, and they were not aware. It was the hosting provider that was now able to tell the reseller that, look, reseller, something is going on. And then the reseller had to call the customer to order and say, customer, check. Things are going on your server, and those issues were resolved. So these are some of the things that you need to pay attention to. And then as you grow in your business, you learn more and more about that. But then these should not scare you from getting started. Every business has its pros and cons. Every business has risk. Every business has legal issues. There's no business that does not have its risk. There's no business that does not have legal issues. Real estate in the real world has legal issues. It has risk. Transporting business has legal issues. It has risk. Health business has legal issues. It has risk. Pharmaceutical business has legal issues. It has risk. So there's no business without risk and legal issues. So these should not scare you from getting started. And I really, really wish that 90 days from today, you have a thriving business and you have very good recurring monthly income coming in. Now, the next thing you want to do as a web host, because now you have what it takes to become a web host. The next thing you want to do is you want to improve your skills. So I would recommend that you check the videos on basic Linux server administration, especially that deals with you installing your control panel on your VPN server yourself, and then you add that to your skill set so that you can have more skill and more confidence. And as you explore the web hosting business more, you have a lot more leverage. I'll see you in that next video series. Bye bye.